every day.
Back at it with another one. Alright guys, you've seen it, I've seen it, everyone's seen it. HBO Real Sports documentary. One thing I want to preface before I start this video is that I do not support domestic violence, rape, sexual misconduct, sexual violence, any types of crimes of that nature. No one should tolerate that. If there is ever a case where you've been assaulted, please contact the police as soon as possible. Please contact somebody that can hold that person accountable. Alright, now, getting to this video, I wanted to make that clear because my stance on it, and my stance has forever been the same ever since these allegations came out. After the documentary, what was made public was stuff that was already readily available. Alright guys, let's get into the timeline. January 28th, the initial claim was Deshaun Watson wanted to be traded from the Houston Texans. And I can understand why at the time, the direction of the team, and then the whole quote of the inmates running the asylum. This happened after Deshaun Watson signed his extension, so naturally he felt uncomfortable with that owner itself. But January 28th, he asked for a trade to be traded from the Texans. March 16th is the date that Busby announces the lawsuit against Watson. Also on that date, Watson denies any wrongdoing, states his innocence. On 17th, the first lawsuit was filed in Harris County. 17th, 2 more was filed, bringing the civil suits up to 3. 18th, 4 civil suits. March 18th as well, the NFL starts investigating Deshaun Watson. March 22nd, 7 more lawsuits that opened up in Harris County, where it brings his total to 14. 23rd, 2 more civil suits that brings the total up to 16. 29th, 3 more civil lawsuits, which brings it up to 19 in total. On the 30th, 2 more were filed. That brings it to 21. So from the span of March 16 to March 30th, 21 lawsuits were filed against Deshaun Watson. I would say, a month and some change after Deshaun Watson reported that he wanted to be traded from the Texans. So we can take that with a grain of salt. We 100% take that with a grain of salt. It could have been in the works. This could have been in motion. So I don't want to rule out that this is directly because he resorted and asked for a trade. Because I don't want to be that guy to try to be conspiracy theorist. I just want to look at all the facts that we have. And then you guys can come to your own conclusion at the end of the video. April 6th, 2 plaintiffs identify themselves and go public. So it took almost a whole month. Out of the 21, only 2 people made themselves public. The rest of them were just Jane Doe's filing claims against Watson. April 9th, it states that the women are filing suit against Deshaun Watson must identify themselves. April 13th, report surfaces that one plaintiff dropping her suit against Deshaun Watson for now. On May 21st, you can just see everything up here. I'm just going to go in concrete order of it where you can read. Watson reports to training camp on July 25th after all of everything has been going on. And 24th, SI obtains text messages revealed that Ashley Salif, the first plaintiff to file a civil suit with Deshaun Watson, was in contact with the law firm in December 2020. So right there. So I wanted to be the guy to say, hey, this all came out within a reasonable time period, or this all came out right after the trade. Well, this is SI stating, like, text message results that Ashley Salas, the first plaintiff against Watson, was in contact with the law firm in December 2020. Now, we don't know if anything took shape until afterwards. So we don't know if they declined it, came back to it after he requested the trade, or they've been in the works. There are things stating that, hey, this was going to come out regardless, even if he announces a trade or if he didn't announce a trade. So that's one of the standpoints there. August 28th is the next standpoint, where the Dolphins wanted Deshaun Watson, but they wanted Deshaun Watson to settle and get all of everything. And this is where the issue lies, is that Deshaun Watson and their lawyers and their management team didn't want NDAs. The Dolphins wanted NDAs, so they couldn't speak on it, and the actual prosecuting team wanted NDAs. Why the prosecuting team wanted NDAs, I don't know. But What has been said throughout this whole investigation is that Deshaun Watson has willingly cooperated with the NFL, willingly cooperated with law enforcement, and also willingly cooperated with the FBI, including handing over text message conversations, handing over cell phone notes, handing over documents, and providing testimony in depositions. He has done that throughout the case. And also on the other plaintiff's end, I will go into explanation with this document right here. So this is the document that's on the defense. In a few days, Mr. Watson has learned the identity of his accusers, and the legal team has already uncovered evidence of the allegations informing Mr. Watson. After massage therapy sessions with Mr. Watson, 8 plaintiffs praised about, were excited of working with Mr. Watson. 7 plaintiffs willing to work with Mr. Watson after the alleged incidents. 3 lied about the number of sessions that Mr. Watson and both of them had. 3 lied about the trauma resulting in harm. So 3 of them lied, saying that it was trauma, but they found out they uncovered there was no trauma there. 5 plaintiffs told that they wanted to get money out of Mr. Watson, and then the initial lawsuit with Ashley Salas as well. She wanted money as well, and then 5 scrubbed their social. So what we're seeing right now is just the ugly painted picture between the two. The timeline of the alleged assaults are here. Taking a look at them right now. One thing we want to preface is that there are cases for foul play on both sides. And I want to get into something else as well. There were allegations about Tony Buzbee itself as a lawyer. If you take a look at this right here, Keep Johnny Football in Texas, the Buzbees live around 480 feet from the McNair family. When this was filed, there were a lot of people that were screaming, shouting, stating collusion, which naturally so. You're going to say, hey, your player requested a trade from this organization. This owners came out with multiple allegations, inmates running asylums, a lot of foul things. What would make it past them to say, hey, we're going to ruin this person after giving this guy $100-something million guarantee? Because Deshaun Watson had just got paid the year prior. The notion that Tony Buzbee did try to do is that he tried to say he had no involvement with the Texans or no knowledge or not being a Texans fan. That is completely inaccurate onto itself as well. Tony Buzbee is a Texans fan. He even spearheaded a campaign in 2014 for the Texans to draft Johnny Manziel. They ended up taking just Davion Clowney with the #1 overall pick. The Buzbees, and the McNairs know each other. So they're a group of people. They're stating, hey, this is collusion. Now let's get on to the pod. And let's get on to HBO reaction.
After the session began, she says Watson attempted to bare his naked body.
He ends up exposing himself, and I hurried up and covered him with the towel, and he said, oh, you don't have to worry about the towel. And I said, yes, I do.
So then what happened?
He requested that I work on his abdomen. But the moment I went above his navel, he told me he didn't want me to work there. He wanted me to work lower. He just kept directing me to go lower and don't be scared. You can go in there, and I just started really freezing up at this point.
Can you explain that?
Like a wave just took over my body. I felt so hot. I was sweating. It was getting more and more clear that this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I thought the session was going to be.
And soon, Solis says, Watson's actions left no doubt.
As I'm working, he deliberately grabs himself and put his penis on my hand. And I pulled my hand away instantly and I started crying. And I told him that I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore.
Solis says she waited for Watson to leave. But before he did, she says he delivered a parting message.
He just said, I know you have a career to protect, and I know you don't want anyone messing with it, just like I don't want anyone messing with mine. That's when I got really scared.
Why?
Because that sounded like a threat to me.
Watson denies impropriety or sexual contact of any sort during his massage with Solis.
All right, so reaction to the first clip is that If this massage was going to go left and it went left the way you said it was, the warning signs was there. You should have ejected immediately. But you went on, you kept going on with the massage. It leads me to believe that you knew that there was more than a massage taking place. I don't want to be the guy to say stuff like that or insensitive comments like that. I'm not a trained masseuse, but if I was a trained masseuse and I know that this massage is going left, and I can tell by the nature and the behavior of the person that I am massaging, I will nip it in the bud right away. I am not going to let this situation linger on until something happens that I regret or that person regret. Just respectfully say, hey, yo, get your composure. Hey, yo, you can't do this. If you do this, massage is over. Period.
I was super excited. I was flattered as well. I'm thinking my marketing has paid off. It's reaching big names.
But Hayes says when her new big-name client arrived for his massage, things quickly took a turn after, she says, Watson dropped his towel and began to sexually harass her.
I went to pick up the towel, and he instructed me to leave it on the floor. And at that point, he's fully erect and his penis is exposed.
And then what happened?
He wanted me to kind of make a V motion in his pelvic area, so go across his stomach to his thighs, back to his stomach. I just kept massaging and did what he asked until his penis kept touching me repeatedly as I did it. He was moving his penis back and forth as my hands moved as well.
It allowed him to kind of put his penis onto your hands.
Exactly.
And you felt that was intentional.
It was intentional.
So how did it end?
At some point, he did ejaculate. That was mortifying, embarrassing, and disgusting.
Just move. I'm sorry, I don't want to be a fool. Just move out the way. How does that happen? Like, okay, I want to say this and try to be as sensible as possible. If you're a masseuse, I'm not a masseuse, I do not know. If you're in a situation where you're uncomfortable, I'm pretty sure there is protocol, or I'm pretty sure you can just let your client know, like, yo, this is not right. I feel uncomfortable. Can you please either one, get yourself together, or two, in an interview? In both of these cases, they continued on with the massage feeling uncomfortable. At no point you should feel uncomfortable. Nip it in the bud right away. It leads me to believe that there was more there, that it was more advances, or they took advances from him that led to that point and got to that point itself. Man, it's just not gonna just he's just not going to just do that on the just cause, like, especially in the time that we're in right now. I'm not trying to take Watson's side of this. I'm just trying to logically look from both of these testimonies, and it feels like, from my personal opinion, that these massages should have ended a lot earlier than what they're leading up to. If they felt uncomfortable, these massages end within the first 5 minutes of the massage, and it doesn't get to this point.
That Watson's accusers say leaves them baffled.
Why do you think the grand jury ruled the way it did?
I have absolutely no idea. I don't see how any of those human beings could have sat there in front of me and think what he did was okay.
But Watson's accusers say they were even more stunned after he was acquired by the Cleveland Browns and given a contract worth $230 million, the largest guaranteed deal in the history of the NFL.
It was sick to me.
Why?
I felt like he's being rewarded for bad behavior.
He's not being rewarded for bad behavior. Deshaun Watson was a top 8. He was a top 5 quarterback at the time before he sat out with the Texans. And he's being rewarded because he's a good quarterback. This has nothing, and I'll repeat, nothing to do with his sexual assault or assault allegation. We cannot put 2 and 2 together. We can't condemn someone and then whatever their person's talent is, we have to dismiss it because of this fact.
Pointing out that some, including Kyla Hayes, remained in contact with Watson for months after the alleged assaults, in some cases even discussing possible follow-up appointments.
People will look at your interaction after what you're saying was an assault and say, how could it be an assault? Here she is texting with him.
I wasn't sure what he was capable of. He could have physically assaulted me. He could have bashed my business. So I had to protect myself and my business the best way I saw fit. Did I ever see him again after that? No. Did I give him the runaround? Yes.
But Real Sports has obtained court documents that show that 7 other accusers who declined our requests for interviews did, in fact, see Watson for repeat appointments.
See, this is one of the things, this is one of the gray lines thing. Who do we believe here? Do we believe Watson's team, or do we believe the young lady? Or is it somewhere in the middle? If someone sexually assaulted you, or made you feel uncomfortable, or did anything to you, why are you still in contact with this person, and why haven't you alerted the authorities?
Is it at all possible that any of the 22 women might have some ulterior motive?
I hope not. I don't think so. We vetted each one, but if I were ever to come to that conclusion, that case wouldn't go forward.
And there it is, guys. I hope not. Look, the only 2 people are going to know what happened are the 2 people, Deshaun Watson and the victims itself. Busby doesn't know. NFL doesn't know. 2 grand juries said they didn't know. Only people are going to know is those 2 people. Point blank, period.
Everybody who is so comfortable with working with him in the future is also comfortable with what he's done and what he potentially will do.
My overall thoughts about this is, what I prefaced a little bit earlier, all this information was readily available through the testimonies. It was verbatim, word for word, line for line. I know these things have to be rehearsed. It's more so of the fact that I believe that they're trying to force PR pressure on Deshaun Watson, and to make a statement like that, you support like sexual abuse if you support that man. Like, I hate today in generalization. Like, we can't have generalizations like that. Cleveland Browns signing Deshaun Watson doesn't mean they're pro this or pro that. The reason why the Cleveland Browns signed and traded for Deshaun Watson is because he's a great quarterback.